want to talk a little bit about an interesting topic to me, which is like being sunburned, hole in the heart, wounds, like think of the sun burning, like something burning away. So um, when someone is sunburned, anything that touches even gently feels like a slap, and it can cause defensiveness, anger, aggression, harshness, and then shame for the outburst, lashing out. Self-sacrificing because it's not hard to offer oneself up if life is painful and doesn't feel like a gift. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Some people say like they think there's so much glory in just like not caring about yourself and being a martyr. But if you don't think your wife is worth your life, oh my gosh, I said wife. If you don't think your life is worth anything, it's not that hard to give up. Having to be gentle in transitions when shifting identities and garments because they can rub in a raw place. Now think of it still as like very raw sunburn, right? Really, our theme is gentleness with rawness. Choosing to stay vulnerable and exposing the hurt areas that someone won't be spiteful and think they have to represent darkness, evil people that could potentially hit where it hurts. So when pause and say there are people sometimes who feel it almost feels like when you show them where you're vulnerable, it's like they hurt you there. Now we don't have to say they're sadistic. We could say that they're almost like pretending in their own subconscious they're looking out for us to make sure that nobody else could hurt us. We see, oh, you're exposing yourself. It's like someone who's walking around and was like trying to cover them up, and you're like, but it hurts, stop covering it, right? Intentionally, so they purposely touch the painful place and convince themselves they're helping us by hurting, because then they think, oh, then let's say the one who's exposing themselves will be protected from cruelty, even though it's that one that was the cruel one. And in terms of the hole in the heart, this is based on a talk with Tzvi Cohen. Desires that can be exploited: undivided attention, unconditional love, commitment, lots of money, being desired, pleasure. These are desires that others could exploit through us. My teachings being impressing and satisfying. There's this voraciousness as a channel, right? If not indulged, which is why there was even the ability to take off the bandage and open the heart to someone for the sake of context, provision, stimulation, right? Something was worth it. There's frustration from not getting after being, baited, and the added energy of avoiding frustration and investing in pursuit of fulfillment. But if it's an unsuccessful charging, it can cause unhealthy coping, like self-blame, indulgence with the wrong people elsewhere, with high cost or false advertising. I want to also talk about the inner baby that might be ignored, neglected, or shamed, morphs into a black hole, unhinged jaw, like thinking of like almost like a snake, an abyss, a bottomless pit of despair, and an open mouth of emptiness, like a real hunger. And when we manage expectations, no one can replace a father. Mother is a good example. We're talking here about the hole in the heart. And, we can feel, when we manage expectations, we can actually feel any grief or disappointment with an open heart, and the medicine messages, the emotional messages, and respecting the healing process, and maintaining the necessary bandages on the healing of the hole, the wound. And in terms of wounds, I was like trying to get exposed to like different people's opinions. I was looking on Instagram and I found like some different things. So there's these ideas of these main wounds. So the abandonment wound is where someone feels left out, fears being left, hates being alone, codependent, threatens to leave, normally attracts emotionally unavailable people. Then we have the guilt wound, feels sorry and bad and doesn't like to ask for things, uses guilt to manipulate, afraid to set boundaries, normally attracts people who make them feel guilty. We have trust wound, which is someone who's afraid to be hurt, doesn't trust themselves, finds ways to not trust people, doesn't feel safe, feels insecure, needs lots of external validation, and normally attracts people who do not feel safe. Then we have the neglect wound, where someone struggles to let things go, has low self-worth, gets angry easily, struggles to say no, represses emotions, fears being vulnerable, and normally attracts people who do not appreciate or see them. And The Lubavitch Rebbe in on the chapter 26, verse 19 of Exodus, Shemos, says that one's personal inner tabernacle. So this 10-cubit high planks forming the walls of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, alludes to the 3 facets of intellect and the 7 emotions. The 3 facets of intellect are, which 3 and 7 is 10, is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And and the 7 emotions are love, fear, compassion, confidence, sincerity, loyalty, and humility. The coverings forming the roof allude to our enveloping powers of will and delight. Bases of this tabernacle allude to the ability to enforce Torah code and Torah's code of behavior on the self. The raw self-discipline is the lowest rung on the ladder of self-refinement, since it is devoid of any feeling or intellect. Yet it's the foundation for the structure to stand firm, which is our tabernacle, or in other words, our character. Since self-discipline as the behavior norms is the same for everyone, the contributions of the bases were from everyone the same contribution, which is true in the Torah. They each gave the same contribution which was used towards the base. Since in delight, will, intellect, emotions, everyone relates to God differently, the components of the tabernacle relating to these aspects of personality were made of contributions people gave according to their individual means and desire. And I want to talk about one last thing. So let's say you're feeling like kind of out of whack based on some of these topics, or just in general, from the woundedness, you want to like reattune. You want to like tune back to health, right? To feel better, feeling better when there was pain, right? So Rabbi Yecheskel Shimon Goodfriend, something like that. He gave some advice. He says, move, jump, run, get outside, remembering there's a bigger world than just me and my problems, and we could just like be with kids or animals, playing, unrolling, basically taking off the roll, which could be wounding us. Recognizing the mind is not in an infinite space at the moment, and that we can have, we don't have to marinate too much in our own juices if we're not feeling well or present with the joy. We can do something nice and kind and helpful for someone else, and sometimes that we could just get there by just having like this go-to song to use. And we are going to continue with the Zohar. In the next couple of videos. We did 2. I'm taking a break for this one, but we're going to continue soon. All right. All the best. Bye-bye.